Hello, this is Bob. Welcome. So glad you're here. Today's Thinking Positive with Jesus section comes from 1 Peter 1:24-25, which says, "All flesh is as grass, and all the glory of man as the flower of the grass. The grass withers, and its flower falls away, but the word of the Lord endures forever." Now this is the word which by the gospel was preached to you. Now, the temporary beauty of the physical world, or are we going to choose the lasting strength of God's word? Life is temporary. Jesus is forever. Life in Jesus is forever. Life without Jesus is temporary. The gospel that is mentioned in this verse, the gospel is Jesus died for our sins, rose to life again 3 days later, and was seen by men. Then Jesus rose to be seated on the right hand of the Father. So let's not fix our focus on the temporary, but on what is lasting. Jesus is lasting. Jesus is forever. So let's focus on Jesus. Now, 1 Peter 1:24-25 comes from Isaiah 40:7-8. Which says, "The grass withers, the flower fades, because the breath of the Lord blows upon it. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever." And I have swatched the colors from the DaVinci set that I had received, the sample set, their watercolor sample set. I should have gotten that all together. And so let me see if I can find the matching one. Here it is. There's Titan Buff. Titan Buff's there. Nickel Titanic Yellow, or I will say Nickel Tit Yellow, Cad Yellow, Hansa Yellow, Aureolin, DaVinci Yellow, Arlide Yellow, Cad Yellow Light. And then comes Hansa Yellow Medium, Cad Yellow Medium, Gambage, Hansa Yellow Deep, Arlide Yellow Deep, Cad Yellow Deep, Soulshine. My favorite color. And as I was doing this, I saw these colors and I was like, I should pick colors and make my own palette. I noticed that some artists do that. And wouldn't it be cool if I could get a palette with Soulshine in it and other colors? And I started working on that, and I'll share that with you. But first, look at this, Benzimita Orange Deep. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that color. Look how great that color is. That is so wonderful. And of course, there's my Soulshine. So to compare the two, this one's more of a red-orange. Whoops. And that's vermilion, and then we start getting into the reds. And then alizarin gold is kind of an interesting color because it's not gold, but it's alizarin, which is a red. See, that's alizarin crimson next to it. So interesting. They must have put orange in there. And then we get the blues and the pinks and some purples and violets. And there's a violet I like, but I can't find it at the moment. There's Stormy Blue, which I have in my my palette of opacity, Embrace Opacity set that I've shared. And it's about the same as an indigo. Perylene violet. There's the violet I like. I like that. I seem to be drawn to the dark colors. And check out this color here, Artemis. Not sure if you're familiar with that color. I know I'm not. But look, there's like blue dots in there. It separates. That's called granulating. It granulates. It's separating granulation, because there's two colors and the blue separates from the violet or the gray. And here's another granulating color that's just one. See how I bring it up close? See those little dots? That's granulating. And I have these leaves here because I just saw a cool technique using granulation and granulating liquid. And I was going to do a video about that. And so that's a future video to look forward to. And here's the blues and the greens. There's sea glass. I love that color. Cobalt turquoise deep. I can't speak this morning. And look how dark that green is. That's just wonderful. I like that. I go for the dark colors. And here's another separating, granulating color. Sage and amber. It's got like a yellow ochre with a blue in it. And raw sienna and raw umber, those two seem to be granulating. And burnt sienna and raw sienna. Do you know the difference between burnt and raw sienna? Raw sienna is the natural, the way it is in the natural pigment, and they take that pigment for the burnt sienna and they heat it to a specific temperature. They actually burn it, and which makes it darker. So burnt sienna and raw sienna, they're actually the same color, but because they burnt it, they get a different shade. I just think that's cool. See, and there's raw sienna there. That's the deeper color. And there's the natural. So if that's the natural, then that's what it looks like when it's burnt. Just interesting. Colors are amazing in how they make them. Mint green and a peach. And then the last of the colors here, violet iron oxide. I think that's the violet I like. Yes. And there's burnt umber and raw umber. Once again, they burnt it, and that they got that, and then that one's raw. And then sepia, and Denise's gray separates. You see? Separating granulation. Payne's gray, Davy's gray. And there are two whites, Chinese and titanium. And there's a natural tint, ivory black and lamp black. But the natural tint is the same as black. And the sepia seems to be like a black. And so, where is my... This is what I've been doing. This is Soulshine, and to choose another color, I mixed it with some other colors. So this one's been mixed with titanium buff, Titan buff, or that I can't say it now, Benzimida orange deep. And see that doesn't do much when you mix them. This is Perylene violet, and that surprised me. It's sort of like a reddish color. and I mixed it with lilac and got sort of like a red, but there's blue, so it's like a separating, granulating color. And the manganese blue, this is with sea glass, which is here, because I thought that's a nice green. Maybe I'll have sea glass in my, and so I mixed sea glass with a few colors as well. And I took Soulshine and mixed it with Cobalt Turquoise Deep, and that's kind of granulating. See the, I don't know if you can see the blue in there, but it's been an interesting journey. And I was going to do, like I said, my own palette, because I have this extra palette over here that I'm not using. And so I think I could have 8 colors and then use this section for mixing. And this would be, I don't know, based on my favorite color, Soulshine. So I would have a Soulshine palette. That would be so cool. Hopefully I can work that out. I think. So you could call it Bob's Soulshine palette. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on. It's been interesting. I've only got 2 colors though, Sea Glass and Soulshine. And I kind of like the blues. Like I said, I find that I go towards the dark colors. And so my question to you is, what colors do you go towards? Do you go to the lighter colors or the darker colors? Do you mix your colors, or do you just take them from the tube as is for your paintings? I challenge you to start mixing, because look at all the variety you can get. I mean, you couldn't get that, this green, this bluish green out of a tube. Maybe you could, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. Or that green with the sea glass and the Soulshine. Or even that with the cobalt turquoise and Soulshine and how it granulates. That's probably not in a tube. You get that by mixing your colors and finding out, and then choosing the ones that work for you to put in your palette. And that's where I am on my journey. I've also decided, since this is a Christian art channel of the Christian faith, I share scripture, as you all know. I'm thinking, well, why don't I become a Christian artist? Start painting Christian things. And I go, how cool. And then, of course, I put in nature every now and then, like these leaves. You see how that, you could use the granulating to paint that. I can't wait to do that. Future video. So I have tons of ideas, as you see. But at the moment, these colors have inspired me to make my own palette, my own Soulshine palette, which is what I intend to do. And in that regard, I don't know if you want to see me choose my colors and mix colors. I could give you a little bit of that now by turning it over. So I have to choose. Of course, Titan Buff is going to be in my palette. So there's 3 colors. I got 3 colors for my Soulshine palette. See, that's Titan Buff mixed with the sea glass. It's kind of like a white, but it's a gray. If you're not familiar with Titan Buff, see, that's Titan Buff right there. I know I don't put the numbers or anything like that there. I suppose I should, but I don't. I just write what the color is. And I try and get it to go from dark to light. And so as I look, I probably will go for that I think it's the Perylene Violet I like. Although I do have the Violet Iron Oxide in this palette here that I could use, but I haven't tried mixing that. So in choosing my color, you know, which one do I like? Do I excuse me, do I like the lilac? The lilac makes red, or this weird blue. That's interesting. Or Perylene Maroon, which I do have a tube of that somewhere. And I don't know if I used the Perylene Maroon up here. I did not. Anyway, so yeah, what are the colors that speak to you? I'm drawn to the dark colors, I've noticed, or the medium. But when I saw Soulshine, that's really the first light color that I really liked. Oh my goodness, the trash guy gotta get a new muffler on his truck. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear that. My window's closed. Anyway, and so this is the natural tint with the sea glass. The natural tint was that dark color back here. Yeah, see, there's the natural tint. And I mixed it with the sea glass. And where is it? That's the color I got. It's kind of like a grayish, wouldn't you say like a grayish, bluish, a bluish grayish pair of jeans. A gray pair of jeans that have faded. That one's kind of the same, but you see more of the blue. And terracotta. Davies gray. And so I didn't mix with any greens, you notice. The G here stands for sea glass, because I could tell, you know, yellow and blue make green, as you see. Although I do have that book that says blue and yellow don't make green, makes a shade of blue or a tint of yellow, shade being the darker. So it's a shade of sea glass or a tint of Soulshine. That's what they say. That's what they say. And that's what that book's about. But anyway, yeah, so it's quite interesting. Because you can't have every color. And I plan on getting 2, 4, 6. I plan on getting 8 colors. And I already have 3. The Soulshine, the Sea Glass, and the Titan Buff. So I'm ahead. Now, my question is do I want a green even though these 2 colors make a green? So those are the choices you got to make. Do I want one of the greens? Uh-oh, now it won't open. Oh, might help if I put it front-wise, right? Do I want one of these greens? Oh, I did mix it. That's chromium oxide green. There is a green there. I did that because I have that here already. That is an interesting bluey green. I could get the chromium out. I heard someone say nobody likes that shade of green. Nobody's using it. So maybe I'll add it to my um, my palette. So how to do that, how I do that, let me show you. We've already gone into 20 minutes here. I don't want this video too long. But let's see. So I want to try the chromium oxide green. And so what I do is I take this color, I'm just using the other side as you see. And that's chromium oxide green. Like I said, I like those dark colors. So where's my pencil? What did I do with my pencil now? There it is. So I write chromium oxide green. Okay, and so I take some of that, put that in my palette, and then take some Titan Buff. What does Titan Buff do to chromium oxide green? And you mix these together. Now that's an interesting shade. I might have a little too much chromium Titan Buff, but that lightens it up quite a bit. See, and I try and get it as filled in as I can. Sometimes you gotta tap. So I kind of like that shade. So that's chromium oxide green plus TB, Titan Buff. What other color is there? Well, let's see. What's on the other side here? Oh, the orange. What would the green and that orange do that I like? That orange deep. This is how I find out if I want that as part of my palette. Here it is. Where is it? Down here. So I have Benzamina Orange Deep. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I like that orange. And that interests me because I don't normally like the color orange. Isn't that weird? And I just love that color. And let's see. I need the chromium oxide green. So I got the green on here. Oh, and a brown. Yeah, because they're orange and green are opposite each other, aren't they, on the color wheel? So I'll put a little more orange in there. Bring it to the orange side. Look at that. That's cool. I will put that right there. Doo-doo. Look at that. Oh, it's kind of a brownie. Yes, because green and orange make brown. That's what I was trying to say, because they're opposites of the color wheel, on the color wheel. Because of the red and the orange. So interesting. So I have chromium oxide green and the Benzamita orange, the BO. And that's how I did this. I just chose a color. What would that color do to the to that one? And do I want that as part of my palette? Do I want a red? Do I want to choose a red? There's an interesting DaVinci red tint mixed with a green. That would probably make a lighter brown. And there was another Perylene maroon. I go for the dark colors. I have no idea why. And the lilac, which I have over here. And so what's on the other side? I gotta see what's on the other side. Davy's Gray. All right, I wonder what the Davy's Gray would do. That's here. And so we mix up the color. We take the chromium oxide green. We take some Davy's Gray and we mix the two. And I wonder, let me bring you down closer, what we get. It doesn't really do much to the green, does it? So maybe that's not a good gray for my palette. A gray green. Well, Davy's Gray is kind of green anyway, I think. A greeny. I'll add it to my list, though. Over here. And so as you do this, you got to ask, is this something that I want in my palette as I make my own palette of colors? So this is chromium green with Davy's Gray. And then what other? Oh, the violet is right here. The violet iron oxide. I could do that too. So let's see. We get the chromium green. Can you see that? I'm thinking you can. And the, what did I say? Violet iron oxide, which I have right here. What does that do? That makes a very dark green. A reddish green. I feel I need to bring it to the green more. I think that's too much green. Oh my goodness. There. Here it is. This is the color I'm going for. Violet iron oxide with chromium oxide green. It's kind of like a black, like mud. Maybe I made mud. But this is the color I get. That's kind of like a gray. But it's green. A dark olive green. So chromium Oxide green, and what did I call that? Violet? Violet iron oxide, VO. That's very interesting. Maybe, no, that would be the same result. Let's try that sage and amber. What would sage and amber do to the chromium green? That's that sage and amber was that granulating color. I wonder if it would continue to granulate. Now that's an interesting green, kind of like an army green. Olive green. And that was, I always forget, sage and amber. Maybe I want sage. Oh, it's is that separating in my palette? How interesting. Do you see that right there? It kind of looks like it's separating. Excuse me, I suddenly had the hiccups. And then I have I'm leaning towards the sepia. So let's see what sepia does. Sepia would probably make it all go dark. There's the sepia there. And mixing it with the green. Yeah, it's just a darker green. Sepia would do that, make a dark. It's almost like that one, but not quite. So this is the green with sepia. I don't know. Which one do you like? Well, that Titan buffs an in. If I include that green. It did separate. Look at that. The sage and amber separated in my palette. Do you see that? You can see the brown and the green. But that is cool. So that'd be a granulating color right there. Is that doing that in my paint square? Kinda. We'll see as it dries more. And so we got some chromium green here. And so they have a new color called New Gold, but I don't know if I like that. That's the New Gold right there. Everyone has to have raw sienna, burnt sienna. So I'll go with terracotta to be different. But I'm thinking that's going to be a red. So that's going to make a brown, and it does make a brown. That's almost like that, but darker. Interesting. And that was the green with terracotta. Let's try that new gold. Do you think I'll probably get a brown with the new gold? So, oops. So you can see me mix it. Since that's what's happening today, new gold. New gold's kind of orangey. An orange version. And it's an orangey brown. Wow, cool. I like that. So maybe I will take new gold. Make new gold a part of my palette. Because that's kind of an interesting... There. And then that was the green with new gold. I don't know. I just find this fascinating. I'm sure this... I don't know if you guys find it fascinating. If you do, let me know in the comments below. See, because I feel like I had that color on the other side. But where that's wet, I don't want it to drip on my table. Right there with the Perylene Violet and Soulshine. That's the same color. So maybe the orange isn't, even though I like that orange. And so I already did that with the... I did that with Soulshine, right? Yes. And with the sea glass right here. There, fix that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, I gone little. The other side I did bigger. So interesting. And that's my journey. I take you on my journey. I think I will use that green because I like those darks. What about mint green? Do you think, or leaf green? Or peach. I gotta know what peach does. See, I started this. Now I can't stop. This is so fascinating. So I take the peach. I think, see, I'm not too familiar with the numbers. So I'm wondering what I'll get. Right here. With the green. That's kind of like a lighter, it's kind of like a gray. And that's peach. Interesting. Almost, those two could go, but only this is more on the brown side. So peach must have red in it. See if I familiarize myself with the numbers. See, it gives you the numbers. If I familiarize myself with the numbers, I would know. Peach is a staining color, it says. Oh, that one looks like it's going to granulate. Interesting. Oh yeah, and that's going to separate, granulate. And the violet seems to be sticking out there. The violet iron oxide. How interesting. What would you use that color for? That is really separating. Look at that. That is granulating. Whoops. I killed the camera. Let me bring that up. That is really separating. That is really cool. That's called granulation. It's granulating. This one is 2, but it's kind of dark. I think that one's trying. So now I wonder. If I used a blue. But which blue? I think... So I put my green in. I think I'll use the cobalt turquoise deep. But I'm thinking that's going to make a brown because that's kind of on the green side. That's definitely not enough. That may be too much. So a little more green. I think that will be, I think that's it. Kind of looks like a phthalo greenish blue. Kind of like a toothpaste color. That's all that comes to mind. Or copper, when copper turns that green. I like that. So that's that chromium oxide green with, what did I say? Cobalt turquoise deep. I like what that is doing. That is cool. The camera seems to be leaning. That's the turquoise, the peach, the new gold, the terracotta, the sepia, sage and amber, violet iron oxide, Davies gray, benzimita orange, Titan buff, and that's chromium oxide green that we mixed it all with. But that's cool. I like that. I may get that new gold just to have that. But what you could use that to paint trees, sure. This is a bluey. You can see that's turquoise in there. Maybe too much. More on the blue side than the green. Anyway, so this is my journey now. I'm trying to get a palette with Soulshine Sea Glass, Titan Buff, and Chromium Oxide Green. I seem to have chosen my green. And so, do I want to add a red to the mix? I probably should. but I'll share that in another video. So that's all for today. Mixing colors for my Soulshine palette. Finding a journey. Try and answer those questions I asked about what color inspires you, motivates you, makes you go, ooh, like, I like that orange. But I can't because Soulshine is an orange. I'm torn. No! Anyway, there it is. That is still granulating. So it wasn't much of a paint video, but as it was more of a discussion about color. And I hope you use them, because I have another discussion we need to talk about. And that's about copying other artists. Some artists tend to stay there, if you know what I mean, instead of moving on into their own reality of the same subject. That's another discussion for future. But that's all for today, as I'm going way over my time. So remember, cast your cares upon Jesus, because he cares for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'm still working on the storage issue on my phone. It will be solved eventually. I have hope. Because you hope in Jesus. It will all work out. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching.